just make sure I'm recording in all the places I'm supposed to be recording at. So let's get this started. Today we're going to be talking, well, before we go into all of this, I do want to talk a little bit about one of the core concepts that the MITM Club is built upon, right? And that is the 6 pillars. Now, the 6 pillars are the self, fitness, finance, family, and education. And at the MITM Club, which Millionaires in the Making, we strongly believe, and we know, okay, it's actually beyond a belief, it's now a knowing, that if you're able to balance all 6 of these pillars in your life, then you are bound to be successful. You are almost guaranteed success. It's kind of, if you're balancing all 6 of these well, it's kind of impossible to lose. And if you do lose, then there's something else going. I don't know how you're losing if you're balancing all 6 of these pillars. So with that being said, welcome to a Money Mastery Dash webinar. Today we're going to be going over your roadmap to financial freedom. But before we jump into that, for everyone that's new here, I guess you're going to want to know a bit about who I am, or who am I, all right? Now, my name is Tye Aarons, the founder of the MITM Club. I started out as a really, really skinny kid, super skinny kid. I learned how to put on muscle, and over a decade, I was training people with their fitness. In fact, I still train people to this day to help them with the hurdles that they have with fitness. Now, I did make a decision during lockdowns to switch from fitness to finance, because finances is just so wonderfully lucrative. And I opened up my gym October 2019, which is right before lockdown started and we had to close down. So we made a pivot from compound lifts to compound interest, and now we continue to help serve our community, to help people grow, but now with their money, right? We do both, but that's here and there. I'm also an artist. I have 1 studio album and 2 solo produced and created and written albums out. So I am an artist over here in Toronto. I'm a creative. And I like to blend all of my things, all of my hobbies and whatnot into what I do now. And I help people with their finances. But how did I get started in finances? Well, this is actually started many, many years ago. And this started back with this guy. This is Tiny Tye in grade 9. Now, the funny thing about Tiny Tye is he had feet too big for his body and wore all the wrong clothes. In fact, these are the shoes that Tiny Tye used to wear. Shacks. Yeah, I got made fun of so much for wearing Shacks. And the girl that I really like, I had this huge crush on this girl. And Tiny Tye at the time's like, I love this girl so much. I'd do anything for this girl. But she don't like me because of my shoes. She don't like me because of my phone. I got a Sony Ericsson. Everyone's on the BlackBerry, on the, what is it? BBM. And the crazy thing about BlackBerry Mobile is that as soon as I got it, BlackBerry was obsolete. They switched over to iPhones, and I still was not in the in crowd. So I did what any young smart man would do. I went to the richest person that I knew, which was my grandmother. And I talked to my grandma, like, Grandma, I want to be rich. And she's like, hey, you better go talk with Paul. So I went, I sat down, I spoke with Paul. Now, Paul was my grandmother's financial advisor, all right? He helped her get the house that she wanted to live in, go get the cars that she wanted to drive, and take the vacations that she wanted to go on. Paul helped my grandmother build out her dream life. And to this day, he still is her financial advisor, which is amazing. In fact, he's one of my biggest mentors to this day. Paul is absolutely wonderful. And it's kind of funny, when I don't listen to him, I kind of mess up and trip and fall in mud, But I went to Paul and I said, Paul, I want to be rich. I want to be rich, Paul. And he's like, hey, you can be rich if you follow my teachings. Now, as he sent me on my journey, as he sent me on this mission of self-discovery, of peaks and valleys and everything in between, or I say before he sent me on the journey, he started me off with a couple tools. Now, the first thing he said is, get this book, The Magic of Thinking Big. The second book he told me to get was Think and Grow Rich. The third book that he told me to get was As a Man Thinketh. Now, I thought it was kind of weird because all these books are all about mindset. And I'm like, Paul, I'm trying to get rich. Why are you making me read all these books about mindset? I'm trying to be wealthy. And Paul said, hey, don't worry. The reason why I'm giving you these books, like, you understand later. But get these books. Start with them. Then he said, get The Richest Man in Babylon. And finally, the last book Paul told me to get was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And with that, he gave me his Audible account. This is back when you could actually download things off Audible. He gave me his Audible account, and he's like, hey, get all these books, and you only have 24 hours. And the clock was on. And I got all those books and then some. And let's keep it rolling. So what exactly is the MITM Club? For those of you that are already here, you know what MITM means. You're living the MITM lifestyle. And for those of you that are new, then you will know that MITM will stand for Millionaires in the Making, baby. Now, why Millionaires in the Making? It's an aspirational thing. And it's because every single one of you will have $1 million or more pass through your hands throughout your life. The question then becomes, how much of it do you keep? And how much of it do you make work harder than you do for you? Because otherwise, you're kind of working like a slave for your whole life. And we at the MITM Club believe that everyone has the right and deserves to be free. And so with that being said, today's session is actually a very, very exciting session. This is a very inspirational session. So we're going to have a lot of mountains in this, a lot of beautiful mountains in this. And we're talking about the 11 stages of wealth. Did you know that there's 11 stages of wealth? Did you know that most people don't even make it past stage number 4? Insane. But before we actually go into all of that, I want to show you a couple tools that I've created that I want to share with you. And the first thing that's going to help you on your path of developing out your 11 stages of wealth is a roadmap. And roadmap is actually an acronym that we've created here, and we have a lot of them. But we need to first build a roadmap. And the roadmap is going to help you figure out where the heck you are now, where you came from before, where you're going to, versus where you want to be going. Because you're going somewhere already. You're moving, okay? You don't really have a say or choice in how you're moving, or the fact that you are moving, but you are moving. And now you want to see, are you going in the direction that you want to go in? Or are you going in a direction that you don't want to go in? And what can you do right now in your day-to-day life to change that so that you could actually go in the direction you want to go in? So we're going to start off with our roadmap. Once you have your roadmap, the next thing that we're going to build together is your base camp. All right? You see there's some mountain themes going on here. Once we've built out base camp, and I think you guys are going to love the way you build out base camp, we're going to ascend. We're going to ascend whatever your mountain is, whatever your personal mountain is. I don't know if you can see this little guy over here, little tiny guy climbing up the cliff, but you're going to ascend this mountain. And finally, we are going to expand. And all of us are going to get to the expanding point, which will be really fun. Now, before we dive into this, I kind of want to talk a little bit about, oh, yep, there it is. Yep, give me 1 second, guys. Before we dive into all of this, let's talk about level 1 and the level 1 of the 11 stages of wealth. I told you guys my cat is going to be in here. She's yelling. She's living her best life. But level 1, starting at stage 0. Stage 0 is your foundation. And when we're in stage 0, we want to turn our struggles into our stepping stones. Now, I told you guys before, some of you guys that are here before, you know that I'm the eldest of 11 kids, all right? I remember at some points being homeless. I remember living out of my car. I remember times that I got evicted. I remember being at stage 0 for so long where I was dependent on other people. And I didn't want to be at stage 0 for so long. I was just stuck. Sorry guys, my kitten. I talk about my cat a lot. You guys probably want to see her. This is baby Ray. She's our Canadian Sphinx kitten. Yeah, and she likes to talk a lot. So you might hear her. You might hear her in the background. I keep on kicking her out of the room, but she loves to be in here. She'll just yell at me through the door. So please bear with me. So where was I at? Yes. Stage 0, your foundation. And this is where we turn our struggles into stepping stones to build out the future that we want to build. Then we get to stage 1. Stage 1 is your breakthrough moment, okay? And once we break through, you'll feel so much more comfortable. Stage 2 is building your shield. I borrowed this quote from my friend Seth Dyer, super dope dude. But he says you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready, all right? And we're going to build our shield in a way that we're able to stay ready to weather any financial storm that comes our way. And then stage 3 is to break free, okay? We're going to keep our debt down and our head up, all right? And when we say head up, we don't just mean physically keep your head up, but we also mean we're going to start to head up our mountain, our financial mountain, all right? So we're going to move from your foundation to breaking free, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. All right, that is the main thing we're going to be talking about today. So let's build your roadmap to guide you along the way to where you want to get to. All right. Now, I do have a question for you guys. Something for you to think about. All right, here's a quick question for you. How many of you have ever felt overwhelmed by your finances or felt like there's no clear path for you to follow? And just take a moment and just think about that for a minute. How many of you, or have you personally ever felt overwhelmed by your finances, like there's no clear path for you to follow? All right, let's keep moving. By the end of today's session, you have a clear sense of where you are right now and where you need to go and what actions to take. So let's start this climb. And I will share with you the 11 stages of wealth really quickly. Now these are the MITM Club's 11 stages. I'm going to let my kitten out of the room because you can go by. Maybe she wants some water or something. There's no water bowls in here. So, yeah. And I'll share with you. These are the MITM Club 11 stages of wealth. And for those of you that are members, you will understand what's going on. For those of you that are not members, you will understand soon what's going on. And I strongly encourage you to continuously come to the upcoming seminars so you can start to get a holistic picture of how to ascend your mountain and what each stage means. So we talked about the foundation a little bit. And the foundation really is you're kind of relying on other people. You're at stage 0. And from the age of 0 to 18, you're probably at the foundation. And we don't want to stay there for the rest of our lives. So the first stage is foundation. The next stage is the breakthrough moment, okay? The breakthrough moment is where you start to get that sense of freedom. But we'll go more in depth into that in a moment. Stage 2, building your shield. Okay, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. This is your financial protection, all right? And it could be more than just financial protection. This could be life protection. Stage 3, breaking free. And when we say debt down, head up, this means you don't have any debt. The only debt that you might have will be like mortgage debt, but let's go. Wealth warrior. Now, most people don't get past these 4 stages, okay? And this stage is pretty tough to get to, wealth warrior. This means you have a certain amount of money put aside. And the next coming steps, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all of these grow from being a wealth warrior. Once you've made it to the wealth warrior stage, all of the other stages open up to you as a potential, okay? And what we need to do here at the MITM Club, what I would love to invite you to do, is to look at what stage you are on right now and what stage you want to get to, and we're going to build a plan together to make that a reality. And I'll be sharing some resources, some tools, some tips and tricks to help you on that journey. Because this is why it's Millionaires in the Making. I had someone ask me recently, hey, Tye, your company's called Millionaires in the Making, so you must have made $1 million, right? And I say, hey, it's Millionaires in the Making. Like, I'm on the journey too. Maybe I'm on step 6, but we're not at stage 10 yet, and that does take a little bit of time. Hey, maybe it takes time. We're out here creating our reality, so let's shift that so it doesn't take any time. So I already asked that question before. So let's talk about stage 0. Stage 0 means you're financially dependent. This means that you depend on other people for survival, for any extravagant things in your life, or to take care of daily expenses. This is why I say that from 0 to 18, you're probably at stage 0. And it's sort of okay because, I mean, for the most part of that, you're a kid. But if you think about it, back in the day, 14-year-olds were owning entire shipping companies. Like, I know that before, adolescence, you were an adult from a younger age before, and now you're not necessarily considered an adult like you used to be until you're so much older. Now they're trying to push being a youth to 29, which honestly for me, I feel I'm glad about that. I'm like, give me all the grant money that you want to give me, that's fine. But it kind of lets you be a kid for so long that it doesn't help serve you. So if you're listening to this and you're young, like if you're like 12 years old and listening to this, try to get out of stage 1 as soon as possible, okay? I think you can get your first job around like 15, 16, and that'll help you get out of stage 0. And what does that mean? Well, once you're out of stage 0, now you're at stage 1. You're financially solvent. This means you're not behind on any liabilities, on any payments, and your net cash flow is positive. Now, when you're young, you don't have any expenses. So you can get to stage 1 easily because there's no expenses. Any money that you make puts you into stage 1. Isn't that wonderful? Hey, you picked up a baby, and I'm talking to the young folks first, and then I'm talking to the older folks because most of us older folks are not at stage 1 anymore. But maybe you fell into that. Let's see. But you picked up whatever job in the neighborhood, you made $20, $30, $100. Congratulations, you're at stage 1. Now, what a lot of people end up doing is they hover at stage 1. They go a little bit up, stage 1, back to relying on people, stage 1, back to relying on government, stage 1, back to relying on friends. This is why, like, a lot of people hover between stage 0 and stage 1. It's actually a perpetual cycle. This is a poverty trap cycle, okay? You don't want to be here. You don't want to be in poverty for very long, right? Hovering between these two back and forth, we don't want that, okay? We want to go from this one to the next one. So let's talk about stage 2. And what exactly is stage 2? Well, stage 2 means you have some financial stability. Okay? Stage 2 means that you've managed to build some emergency fund. This means that your income is more than your expenses. This means you're not behind on any bills. And this means you start having your emergency fund, which a small and wonderful sized emergency fund is at least 3 months worth of your expenses put aside for if something happens. I say at least. And you should look at it. Now I'm talking to the older folks. If something were to happen to you and you couldn't work for 3 months, would you be okay? Or if you were to lose your job and it took you 3 months to find a new job, would you be okay? Now start to expand that out further and further. Does it take you 6 months to get a new job? 7 months? 1 year? 2 years? Do you have enough stability for your emergency fund to cover you for that time? But that kind of jumps into the future ones, which we're not really going to dive as deep into today. But yeah, you want to know about your financial stability. Okay, you got a little bit of emergency funds. And then stage 3. Stage 3 is kind of a beautiful stage to be at. You're debt free. So many of us fall into debt accidentally as soon as we step into adulthood. Like crazy. I was 18. Was I 18? I think I was 18. Yeah. My dog got hit by a car. And because I asked for this dog, I was responsible for paying all the bills related to this dog. My dog got hit by a car. It cost $4,000 to give her some stitches. She didn't, thank God, she didn't break any bones. There was nothing else wrong with her. She was just a little sore. But for a little tiny bit of stitches on her body, and they kept her overnight to keep an eye on her, it cost me $4,000. At the time, I was working at a burger shop. And I think the most money I made from the burger shop was $4,000 in a year. So I'm looking at this $4,000 payment that I don't have the money for. I mean, I had the money for it because I was investing like my mentor told me to, but he wouldn't let me take the money out. He's like, no, you can't take this money out at all. And they just said, hey, it's okay, don't worry, we'll put it on a line of credit here at the vet emergency for you. You don't have to pay anything right now. Just pay it off in X amount of time. That was my first debt that I ever had, saving my dog. And then I stepped into college. And they threw credit cards at me left and right. I did not understand credit cards at all. At all, I tell you. They're like, hey, you want a sweater? Yeah, I want that sweater. Okay, just sign up for this credit card. I'm like, oh, this is whatever, credit card. And I didn't think about it. I would just use the credit cards without thinking. I was avoidance spending, which is one of the emotional spending types we talk about in another training. And so many of us and these are my stories, so many of us step into debt without even knowing it. So stage 3 is taking all of those debts that you have and getting rid of them. Okay? The only debt that could stay, which is okay, is like a mortgage, which is, we'll have a different conversation about that, is a mortgage. So, did you make it? I want you to do a personal audit, a personal reflection of from stage 0 to stage 3, which is the first 4 steps, like I said. Did you check off all the boxes to be out and moving to the next stage? Because so many of us are dependent. You might be making money, but you're relying on someone else to take care of certain expenses. You may be relying on the government, on welfare, which is, people have different circumstances, but you don't want to be there forever. Okay? And then you're solving, you're not behind on your bills, but if you start falling behind on your bills, you're back at stage 1. You're not even at stage 1. You're starting to fall behind back to stage 0. Isn't that crazy? And if you don't balance, you don't have stability, and you didn't build up an emergency fund, you're still technically back at stage 1. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of people live in this cycle between stage 0 and 3, and they just kind of go through this cycle over and over, 0, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. And you need to have all of these boxes checked off to make it out of stage number 3, to actually level up your finances and keep going further on all 10, technically 11 stages of wealth. And that pretty much wraps up today, just to give you an idea to do a personal audit of how you can go, what it means to even go from stage 0 to stage 3, which is the first 4 stages. In upcoming sessions, we're going to talk about stage 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and how you can move through these different ones, and what you could do to keep on growing through those different stages and levels as life goes on. But what I will say, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a moment. How do I close this? What I will say is, regardless of what stage you're on right now, okay? Regardless of what stage you're on right now, we want to move to a different stage quickly. We want to get out of this current small game stage 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, and 3, and we want to step into stage 4. All right? And the way that you're going to step into stage 4 is something very, very simple. Okay? There's 3 keys that you're going to want to utilize to go from stage 0 to stage 4 and beyond. Okay? And what I will share with you today is the keys to the dream. This is the view that I want. Hold on. I gotta fix this. Let me see. I need presenter's view. You guys are getting to see all the back end of everything of how we do this, because I want to see what I'm talking about before I talk about it. It makes my life just a little bit easier, because I like to jump around, and sometimes I jump around too much. So here are the keys to the dream, all right, as we're building our 11 stages of wealth. So key number 1 is you want to establish a solid foundation. Okay, I showed you the mountain. You can't go up a mountain without a proper roadmap. So the first step is understanding your current financial status and where you are right now, right? And we did talk about the 11 stages, but they're broken up into 3 different levels. Okay, so there's 3 levels of financial mastery. And I like this this quote. I don't know if I say his last name properly. Henry David Thoreau says, "Wealth is the ability to fully experience life." I think because I came from such a poor neighborhood, I always thought of having more money as a tool for freedom to live the life that I want, right? And this is another way for us to look at the 11, at least the first 3 stages. There's another wording type. So 0 is you're financially dependent. 1, you're financially solvent. 2, you're stable. And 3, we have debt freedom. But how do we actually get out of all of this? Well, the first key is to know where you are and then decide where you want to go versus where you are now. So you might be at stage 0 and you want to get to stage 3. Or you might be at stage 0 and you want to get to stage 6. Okay, we're not going to go through all 11 right now. But here's a simple way to look at it. Stage 1 is you're dependent for life. You're paycheck to paycheck, you're a wage slave. Level 1, you will be a wage slave for your entire life. That is what level 1 means, okay? Don't be a wage slave. Be a freedom seeker. Be a millionaire in the making. Level 2 is freedom from your employer. You got some FU money. You could tell your employer, F off. I'm going to live my best life. I hate you, Mike. Leave me alone. I'm going to go do my own thing. And level 3 is FU money for life. You don't have to ever go back to an employer. You're free. You're really free. You're really, really free. Okay? So here, that's the first key. Know where you are and where you want to go. Key number 2 is to optimize your spending and savings. Okay? And the first rule that I continuously tell people, like, you're going to call me a broken record for saying this, but please, please, please pay yourself first. Please pay yourself first. If you don't do anything else, just pay yourself first. What does it mean to pay yourself first? Put money into an account to make more money before you pay any of your bills. Simple. A lot of people make it more complicated than that. But if from the moment you first got money in your hand, from that first Christmas, like when I think back to how much money has passed through my hands, oof, I'm pretty sure that from being born till now, I've had probably easily like $500,000 go through my hands, I think. From maybe like 300,000. Yeah, maybe 300,000. And if I was able to like compound everything for all the money I've made over my life, all the times I went to the club and bought a bottle, all the times I went on dates and took girls out and I spent all this money like an idiot. If I paid myself first the whole time, I'd be way richer than I am right now. Okay, so first thing is please pay yourself first. And I'll show you how to pay yourself first as we follow rule number 2, which is to make a budget. And we have a whole budgeting workshop. We have a bunch of videos on YouTube. I'm not going to go deep into budgeting, but I'll show you the overview. Start with paying yourself first. Decide how much you're going to pay yourself first and figure out the rest after. This is why it's number 1. This is why it's kind of one of the bigger ones. Pay yourself first and figure out everything else after. Then build your emergency fund. If shit hits the fan, it's good to have an emergency fund because now you have the freedom to do what you want and keep yourself above water. And then plan for having fun. 5 to 10% of your income should go towards having fun. If you're not having fun, well, I don't know what to say to you. You should be mapping out your life in such a way that you can enjoy yourself at least a little bit. Okay? And then take 50 to 70% to actually live off of. If you can live off of 50% of your income, I promise you, you'll be rich. If you can live off 50% of your income and put the rest into pay yourself first, emergency fund, sprinkle in some fun money, you're gonna have a great life, I promise you. Okay, rule number 3 is to boost your income. Whatever money you're making right now is not enough money. Make more money. Get a raise. Change your job. Make more money so you can no longer be solvent and or just barely making it by. Boost your income. Okay, number 4, manage your debt wisely. Okay, not all debt is bad debt, and we do have workshops talking about that. That's a whole separate conversation. Build an emergency fund. Did I already say that? No, I said manage your debt wisely. Build your emergency fund. Rule number 5. Okay? And then make a plan. And the plan will be your roadmap. And I think that's enough time for today's session. Just a quick overview, a quick intro, all right? After that, we're gonna build out our wealth and do a couple more things. But this is just to dip your toe into the 11 stages of wealth. And I want to know, I'm really curious. I'm really curious. Because how many of y'all are stuck on one of the stages? How many of y'all are stuck on one of these many 11 stages of wealth? Because I know so many people that are stuck on these very many 11 stages of wealth, and they don't know left from right. They don't know what they're doing, and they want help and they need help, but they don't know how to get help, right? They don't know what the next steps that they should take to better themselves is. Let's bring this up. There we go. I'm still building out this is all on a new computer, so I'm still learning how to do everything seamlessly. So you guys are kind of seeing me build. I like to say I build the plane while I'm falling. I just want to get the repetitions in because this has been a long time coming. Yeah, we want to continue building out our wealth, and we don't want to stop, ever, never ever. So with that being said, thank you so much for joining today's session, Millionaires in the Making. I want you to be wealthy. I want you to be wealthy, healthy. I want you to make a lot of money and have a lot of freedom and have wonderful life experiences. And I want to see you all at the 10th stage where you're an abundance creator. But we all start at 0. And we're all going to be going up this mountain together. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you got a lot of value out of today's session. Next week, we're going to be actually talking about budgeting, probably just part 1. And today was a very surface. We're just talking concepts, but the next session that we have is going to be much more hands-on, much more tangible, much more things for you to actually go out and do. So make sure you have a notebook ready for next time, Make sure that you're signed up for next week's session because it's going to be a lot more in-depth and a lot more intense than today's session was. Today's session is just to introduce you to the 11 stages of wealth for the MITM Club for Millionaires in the Making. And with that being said, thank you for joining, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.